Welcome back to Mining Stock Daily. Ian Wagner here with a corporate update from our friends at Bonterra Resources. Bonterra is a gold developer in Canada's prolific Abitibi region. They trade on the TSX Venture under the symbol BTR and on the OTCQX under the symbol BONXF. We have Cesar Gonzalez, chairman of Bonterra, here today to talk about drilling and corporate updates. Cesar, welcome back to the podcast and good to see you.
Nice to see you as well, Ian. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys have been busy, a lot going on there. Why don't we just first kind of jump in with the news of the day? You have a bit of a leadership change there. Marc-Andre Pelletier is leaving, but will stay on as a consultant. You are stepping into sort of an interim CEO role as well, while you undertake a search for a permanent CEO. Just talk a little bit about that and just kind of what your goals are in the short and medium term.
Yeah, I'll start by thanking Marc-Andre for his time at the company. He came in January of 22. We were very excited to have him, and the plan was to put our assets back into production using the mill that we have at Bachelor. And that didn't happen, as we all know. We have a JV now with Goldfields, one of the world's top gold producers, on an asset that I think has the potential to be a top 3 in terms of ounces, top 3 gold mine in all of Canada. So a very, very large partner, very, very large asset, and we're part of that through the JV. And Marc-Andre was instrumental in helping us structure that JV, in advancing the assets alongside our JV partners, and then also advancing our assets to the north. The press release this morning on his departure, there is also a press release from another company called Orezone from him, announcing that he will be joining the company. So we timed it. Ours went out first, I think, by a couple hours, and Orezone's went out a little later. So he's leaving us to be the COO of Orezone. He is staying on for the balance of the year as a consultant. He's technically still the CEO until the end of the month, till May 31st. And he's become a good friend of mine. The mining industry is small, and it's good to have friends. And I can count Marc-Andre as a friend. But more importantly, he is officially a consultant through the balance of the year. And we've had a busy, busy start of the year. I was just looking back. We put out 11 press releases in all of 2025, and we're up to 10, including this morning's on Marc-Andre's departure, so far, through May 13th. So there's a lot going on at Bonterra. There's a lot more that's going to be going on. We're working on a few press releases right now that are in draft form related to drilling, both at Barry and then at our assets in the north, because the Goldfields just wrapped up a drilling program at Barry, a deep hole drilling program. They drilled 5 holes. And then we're doing a 10 to 12,000 meter program at Desmaraisville. We're also publishing our technical report at Bachelor-Moroy. We press release the results of that. Then you have a certain amount of time to put out the technical reports. And so we're working on all that. It's a busy time. We still have access to Marc-Andre, not as a full-time employee, as a consultant. And there's going to be a transition period there. But life goes on, and Bonterra has been through a lot since I joined the company about 6 years ago, and I think the best days are ahead of it. I really do believe that, and then we can get into that a little more if you want to probe, Ian.
Yeah, I think I want to follow up. Want to note, two mineral resource updates already this year, both at Barry and also at Bachelor-Moroy. The other sort of news that really came out that caught me last week was on your JV with Goldfields. You put out a press release that the mining lease 886, the Barry mining lease is including in that. Goldfields is including that in their mining release, and I think I want to say they're 90% of the way through that $30 million spend, which over the last 3 years, and that's expected to wrap up, I think, this summer or perhaps this fall. But talk about what that means, and I guess just on the back of that deep drilling, kind of how that picture looks right now with the JV and kind of how that's going to unfold.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. There was some confusion. I got emails from certain shareholders saying, "Hey, you're including this lease. What are we getting in return?" And there's been time that has passed, quite a bit of time that JV will be 3 years old come November of this year. It was a 3-year earn-in period, and so it's over, 2.5 years old or about 2.5 years old, and people forgot that the original structure was mining lease 886, which is the Barry mining lease, was excluded initially from the JV until we did some remediation work. It was, in our view, minor remediation work. For example, there's a waste dump there from the mining of the pit. There was a pit that was sent up to the Bachelor Mill, and they left behind a waste dump. You have waste, you have ore, you leave the waste behind, and we had to recontour the sides of that waste pile, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Extension of a ditch around the waste pile, and so we did those things, and then Goldfields bought Osisco, and so we had to wait for them to become familiar with the asset. Then they had to review the work that we did to make sure it was to their standards. They've done that, and now they can include the mining lease as part of the JV. So that was all part of the plan, and the press release announcing that is just a formality. We've completed the remediation work. It's the standards of Goldfields, which are very high standards, and now it is also part of the JV. But the plan was also to have it be part of the JV. The better press release for me, at least, would have been, oh, they've excluded mining lease 886 because then we get to keep it, and we could have done something with it. And we published an updated resource there. It's almost 1.9 million ounces. So that would have been manna from heaven, but we're going, they're moving forward as planned.
Yeah. Okay. So no material change. That was always included. I think that's good to kind of just remind people there. And then yeah, just it because we spoke about this. I want to say January, February, but those holes they were drilling 4 or 5 holes. I think you mentioned earlier 5 holes. Those were deep and 800 meters. I think maybe and under the existing resource, correct? And so, potentially has the chance to really add significant accretive ounces there. Is that you mentioned those holes are done. What can you tell us anything about that and kind of like, and then if so, when you expect to kind of get those assay results?
Yeah, the holes are completed. The assays have been received. We are drafting a press release. Marc-Andre actually sent me a draft of that on Monday. So he's still working. If any of you guys are questioning that, he's one of the hardest working guys I've ever had the pleasure of working alongside. And so those results will be forthcoming. What I can tell you is that the model that we've created at Barry is predictable, which is good. You want your
Yeah.
models to be able to
Yeah,
to
you do.
based on the past drilling, be able to tell you where they think the deposit's going. And these holes were meant to test that, and I can tell you that it's been positive. You'll have to wait to see the results, but Barry and Gladiator and Moss and Windfall, both the link zone and which is super high grade, and then the stuff further up. Um, we're in a gold camp in a prolific gold region. So I think investors they get lost with some of the details and they forget the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that the Abitibi is Canada's most prolific gold belt. It's enormous. It stretches from northeast Quebec to the southeast corner of Ontario. It's a big belt, over 200 million ounces of production historically, with tons of reserves, to keep that going on for decades. And the urban Barry camp within that is only about 12 years old, 15 years old. It's not that old. It's one of the youngest camps, and Windfall is the anchor deposit. And then Barry and Gladiator and Moss are satellites to that. I think 5-10 years from now, there's going to be, there's already 10 million plus ounces between what Windfall has and what we have. I think that number could be, 50%, 100% higher. There's just a lot of gold here. And that's why we're so excited about the long-term trajectory of the company. So you were asking specifically about these holes. I can't give you the details until the press release comes out, but I'm trying to just let you know that there's a lot of gold here, and you should expect to see, some good results when that release comes out.
You released the mineral resource update on that earlier this year, and your plans are to release a PEA on that, correct? Is that later this year, or will that be more with 2027?
That's a great question. We are working on a PEA on Barry. We have publicly announced that in one of our press releases, and we have weekly calls. We have one today with our consultant, BBA. They are a Canadian-based consulting firm, technical consulting firm that does technical studies. Um, and so that's a project that Marc-Andre is still working on as a consultant, along with other members of our team. We have on our board Normand Champigny, who is the lead independent director. He also has run his own junior mining companies. He's a geologist, and he's put together many technical reports. So he's also working on that. I kind of just watch them on these calls. But yeah, we're working on that, and we'll, you know, it's a part of the JV. So
Mhm.
we want Goldfields to be a part of that, although they're a giant company and focused a lot on a lot of things. So we're still figuring out how that PEA is going to work into the plans here with the JV, but we are working on it.
Okay. And then switching kind of up to your 100% own assets, Bachelor, Desmarisville, you guys are drilling there. I think you said, correct me if I'm right, 10,000 meters, 12,000 meters for the drill program there this year, and you're kind of moving through that. Any kind of color you can tell us around that, or how that is going, and what you're kind of seeing up there?
Yeah, you got the range right. It's 10 to 12,000 meters. We're 3,000 meters in. The drilling in the north goes very quickly. Um, our Bachelor-Moroy site is right off of a paved road. There's a camp there, a large camp that we actually rented out from time to time for people that are doing activities there, both exploration and the
Mhm.
guys that built the hydroelectric line for our neighbors, for Cisco at the time, rented out our camp for months. So there's a lot of infrastructure there. It's easy to get access to it. The drillers love going there, and so they work fast while they're there. So we're making quick work. Like I said, we're already at around 3,000 meters. We will be press releasing some of the results from that. We are testing targets that probably should have been tested years ago. The focus had transitioned to the south, to Barry and to Gladiator by the time I joined the company. But there is a lot of, I mean, it's a big land package. It's actually bigger than the JV. It's 25.7 thousand hectares versus the JV at 22 and a half.
Mm.
So it's a big package, and there hasn't been a lot of regional drilling. We're doing that. Also, we're drilling some deep holes. We're drilling some deep holes underneath this intrusive. It's called the O'Brien intrusive, and it's a big block of granite. And Bachelor and Moroy are on opposite sides of this
Mhm.
big granite block. So the theory is, the granite block, I think, came after and just broke up, or actually it's the other way around. The granite block came up, and then it created some structures on the side for the gold to filter up, and that's why we have the gold deposits on the side, not in the granite. Granite's a very hard rock. It's not easy to bust up, but on the periphery it is, and so we're looking around the O'Brien intrusive, but also we're going to go below it, beneath it, because we do know where it ends. And the theory there is that maybe the stuff that came up around it, maybe there's some high grade feeder zones down below. So we're drilling for that, testing that theory. We have flow through obligations that we have to meet. The last time I checked, which was yesterday, it's around $3 million Canadian. So we have to spend that money because we raised it to spend on exploration. So we're doing that.
Yep.
And yeah, that's what's going on up in the north.
I think that's a great place to leave it today, Cesar. We will catch up with you as those drill results come in, both at up at Desmaraisville and down at Barry, and look to kind of follow you guys as the news comes out this summer. Congratulations on the drilling, and obviously, just look to catch up with you soon.
Yeah, I always like sitting down with you, Ian. There has been a lot that we've press released year to date. There's more to come. And I also just want to wish Marc-Andre, much success in his new job. He's the right man for the job, and I'm excited to see what he can do there. And he's done a lot for us, and he will continue to do a lot for us in the background as a consultant. So.
Well, that's Cesar Gonzalez, chairman of Bonterra Resources. They trade on the TSX Venture under the symbol BTR and on the OTCQX under the symbol BONXF. The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decisions.